Pregnancy 101, Part 3. When we last left off, fertilization had occurred, and we were talking about the importance of the very essential step of implantation. So fertilization is typically going to happen in the fallopian tubes, and then that zygote, remember that's the single-celled individual, they start to add more cells. And eventually you get a ball of cells that we call a blastocyst stage. And the blastocyst, if all the ideal situation would be that the blastocyst implants, burrows into the uterine lining. I'm trying to point at the uterus, all right, on the green screen here. All right, so the V-shaped, you might call it a vessel in the middle there. All right, so that uterine lining, which is called the endometrium, that is well suited for implantation to take place. In fact, when someone has a menstrual period, that is what the main thing that gets flushed out. It's unused endometrium. Okay, no pregnancy, that's no longer needed. That's what's flushed out. All right, that endometrium, all right, very important stuff. Now, things don't always go well. Implantation is a very difficult process. When I teach human development, including prenatal development in class, one of the things that shocks my students big time is when I tell them that out of all the conceptions that occur, science indicates that 60% do not make it past implantation. And my students will push back, no, you said it backwards. The smaller number, it has to be that most of them, it has to be that 60% succeed, 60% make it. I mean, fertilization, conception, that leads to a baby, that leads to a pregnancy. Most of the time it doesn't. That's just a reality. This is a complicated process. So what are things that can go wrong? If the hormone levels are not quite right, implantation can fail. If the uterine lining is too thin or too thick, implantation can fail. Another big one, and this is a big one that a lot of people are just never learn about, is that sometimes implantation occurs in the wrong spot. Instead of happening in the uterus, it will happen outside of the uterus. And I mentioned this previously in another one of the videos because of the fact that the fallopian tubes, they are not directly connected to the ovary. You could have a blastocyst that goes the wrong way and makes it out of the fallopian tubes. All right. But the most common thing that will happen when we have what we call an ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy where implantation is essentially in the wrong spot. Usually happens in the fallopian tubes. I will be talking about ectopic pregnancy in the next part.